All right, so the past 48 hours for me have just been an absolute nightmare. I mean, out of nowhere on Thursday, I started getting this crazy headache, and for me, that's not like out of the norm at all. My entire life, I've always had headaches, and it's something that I've like struggled with, and I have taken just ungodly amounts of acetaminophen because of this since I was like 13 years old. And just going off that, if there was ever like a brand sponsor for my life, it would be Excedrin. Like, thank you, Excedrin. You have saved my life, and I will do anything for you if you want. But now at 29 years old, I know if I don't take something for my headaches in their like early stages, it will just instantly like turn into a migraine. Never will it just go away on its own. And most of the time, I'm really good at catching them, right? I'll toss back like a coffee for the extra like caffeine boost. I'll eat a banana for potassium, throw back 16 ounces of water with 2 Excedrin, and then within an hour, I'm good to go. But this past Thursday, I just got caught up in meetings and work, and I didn't catch it in time. And wow, was it just a mistake. It was miserable. And if you've never had a migraine, personally, I think it's a feeling that's kind of hard to explain, but it's debilitating. You can't do anything besides wait for it to be over. But finally, we are back, baby. Definitely taking it easy today. No sudden movements, drinking a lot of water, but we're good to go. I was worried. I thought after 60 something weeks, I was like, this was what's gonna stop me from putting out an episode, but here we are. Now, personally, I think a large reason why I get these is a hereditary thing, right? Research suggests that genetics can play a significant role when it comes to migraines and headaches. And my mom is someone who has struggled with migraines her entire life as well. There were many times where, as kids, we'd be just tiptoeing around the house trying to be as quiet as possible because we knew that our mom was in her room with like 4 ice packs glued to her head because she had a really bad migraine. But luckily, I think I was the only child out of the 3 who inherited this amazing genetic trait. I definitely don't think that's the sole reason why I get these though. I feel like I can't just blame genetics for this. A lot of it comes down to my lifestyle choices. For example, alcohol will instantly give me a headache. And I'm sure most people will hear that and say like, yeah, don't be a little bitch. It's called a hangover. Everyone experiences this, right? But for me, it's like if I decide I'm having just one drink, if it's a beer, seltzer, mixed drink, whatever it is, I will need to take Excedrin or Advil within the hour or it's about to be bad. Here's an Office reference for you. You know the episode where there's that shipment of paper that gets sent out with the obscene watermark of, quote, a beloved cartoon duck and a certain cartoon mouse? Well, in that episode, there's a shot of Angela where she's about to pop a pill, right? Because she has to spend the entire day in HR with Kelly. And she looks at the camera and says, I don't have a headache yet. I'm just preparing. I have never related more to something in my life than that one scene, I feel like. If there is ever a time where I know I'm putting myself in a social setting and I'm going to have a drink in my hand, you can best believe that there are 2 loose Excedrin somewhere at the bottom of my pocket because I am preparing. That said, though, I don't really drink that often because of this. It's just not an enjoyable experience for me. So typically, as of like the last few years and as it's become more socially acceptable, I guess, I'll opt in for either like a gummy or a hit off the old Benjamin because typically like it won't give me a headache and I can still like feel like relaxed a bit, right? Another theme that I've noticed throughout my life is that I'll get an influx of headaches when I'm under a lot of stress. Usually I'm just like a high stress person. I do my best to try to like hide this externally, but internally I'm just a mess and I put a lot of unnecessary stress on myself. And when I do this, my life goes up in shambles, right? I don't prioritize exercise. I don't drink enough water. My diet goes to shit, or I'll even like forget to eat altogether. Most people, when they're under a lot of stress, they'll opt in for more like junk food or they'll stress eat, right? I couldn't be more opposite to that. I'll go 8 to 12 hours easy without even thinking about getting something to eat. I never think about food. I don't know. And it drives my wife insane too, because one, she'll come home and she'll literally have to ask, like, did you eat today? And I'm like, shit, I had a handful of pistachios at like 9 a.m. And then two, like, no woman ever wants to eat alone. And this is 100% one of my beige flags, because I'm never hungry. And if she like wants to go get something to eat, I'm like, yeah, I guess I'll go eat, but I'm just not that hungry. And I enjoy food. I really like cooking, but yeah, 3 meals a day just sounds fucking insane to me for some reason. Anyways, I'm lying down with this migraine and contemplating my existence, right? And I'm thinking, if I make it out of this, I need to make some changes, because I can't just keep living like this, man. It just felt like a complete waste of 2 days. Not to mention, this happened on like the one day a week where my wife gets off work. So it was just a complete waste of our time together. And I felt so bad, but there was really nothing I could do. So being that it's the beginning of a new month, I was like, all right, this is the perfect time to get back on track. I have absolutely nothing planned for the month of August, which is perfect. I can just solely focus on trying to implement some healthy habits. Side note, though, I don't want to make it sound like I'm living this super unhealthy lifestyle. I mean, compared to the average person, I'm probably just like a small step above that, but I want to be better. I don't like feeling like I could have prevented this somehow. So our August plan comes down to 4 things, and it's going to be exercise, diet, sleep, and free time. I'm not going to set out to make any like lofty goals. I just want to be cognizant of these 4 things every single day. And if I can make small improvements upon these 4 like principles, let's call them, then I think I'll feel a lot better and hopefully reduce the amount of headaches that I'm getting. First, exercise. I have been just a lazy piece of shit lately. I was sitting on the couch this week watching men's volleyball in the Olympics, and the U.S. team kept making these service errors like over and over again in this one match, right? And being that I played volleyball in high school, I know the sport pretty well, and I'm getting a little annoyed. I'm like, come on, guys, you're professional athletes, you know? You should be able to at least get your fucking serves in. But then you take a real hard look at yourself, right? And you're like, what the hell am I saying? These guys are playing for a gold medal right now, and I'm talking to a camera about how my head hurts. So yeah, it's time to get back in the gym. Since we've moved, I definitely walk a lot more, but in terms of like actual heavy sweat workouts, I've been slacking. Last year, I had just so much more motivation because we got married in December, and it really just motivated me to get in the gym. But man, I don't know what it is. I hate working out, and I'm so envious of people who actually enjoy going to the gym. The only enjoyment I have ever gotten from physical exercise was sports, but that just seems like a huge commitment to me right now. I need to find a league. There's a whole social component to that, which I'm just not looking for right now. Plus, if I were to just like jump into something just like right now, I know I'd get hurt. I'm just not like ready to do that. So instead, we're making a smaller commitment for August just to get back in shape to the point where I feel good. Like, I want to be able to confidently run a mile, for example, and not feel like I'm going to potentially die. Next comes diet. As I'm getting more exercise, I know naturally I'll just get hungrier, which is good for me. And in August, I'm looking at my water intake and then a prolonged period of just healthy calories, right? Protein shakes, peanut butter, fruit, granola bars, things like that. This is what I want to be consuming on a daily basis in addition to the standard like dinner meals that I'm making every night. I'm not going to be looking at a specific like weight gain, definitely not going to shoot for a weight loss. It's more of a consistent daily intake of calories. And I am the world's worst snacker, so we're looking to change that this month. We're just going to be snacking all day. Third is sleep. I know I've talked about this in some previous episodes, but sleep and I just don't get along. I wake up and I look like I went to battle. It is not a restful experience for me whatsoever. And this, like, it has to be taking just a heavy toll on my health. But that said, with an increase in the amount of daily exercise I'm getting, hopefully that'll translate into me just being exhausted by the end of the day, and I'll get some good sleep. Also, for a while now, I've used weed to kind of just like help me sleep, but I want to get away from that for a little bit. Obviously, any substance you take for an extended period of time can begin to have some like adverse effects on your body. And I don't know if that's necessarily the weed, but I want to make an effort to try to just do this as naturally as possible. I'll also be reducing my caffeine intake this month. I've been really good about like no soda or energy drinks, and I'm going to try to step it up a notch and only stick to 1 cup of coffee a day. It might be a very big cup, but I want to eliminate that 2 to 3 p.m. cup because I think that could also be potentially creating some sleeping problems for me. And finally, my free time. I have such a love-hate relationship with social media. And in fact, I think this would be a great topic for another day. But social media can have so many just like positive and negative effects on us as a society. Now, being that I work in the social media industry, I spend a lot of time on various platforms throughout the day, but I want to try and limit the amount of doom scrolling that I'm kind of doing in my free time. Obviously, I have to be on there for work purposes, and when it comes to this podcast, it's more experimental and educational, I think, because I'm actually creating something opposed to just constantly consuming. But I've been spending just an increased amount of time just mindlessly scrolling in my personal time. And in August, I'm going to make a conscious effort to try and recognize it, get off the platform, and then focus on just doing something else, whether that's reading or listening to an audiobook, listening to music, or going to do a quick workout. I just need to be more conscientious of how I'm spending my free time. So that's the plan. This is the mindset we're going to try to lock in for August. It may not sound like a lot, but I didn't want to like go and set out and make these like massive goals for myself right now. Things are good. I just needed like a fucking kick in the ass to get me going in the right direction. And I think this migraine was it. But thank you for listening. I appreciate it. I know I say that every week, but I really do. Having an outlet like this where I'm actually saying, okay, I'm going to go do this. It really helps me kind of stay consistent. I'm projecting this to the world or whoever wants to hear it. So the least I can do is follow through and try to keep my word. So again, thank you. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, I'll talk to you next week.